Hello everybody, welcome to another vintage review, and I am a lot more high on attitude this time, if that makes sense. I'm a lot happier is what I'm saying, because the last two videos I've been like, I've been like, yeah, this is this and that, but this time I'm a lot more, I'm in a much brighter and happier attitude, so thank gosh for that. But anyways, today, we're going to be reviewing this guy, the classic Kenner Stegosaurus. And, on first glance, it's, it's an alright toy, it is what it is. Brighten that up a little. Maybe that'll help the footage be a little brighter. Maybe you guys will be able to see a little better, but, this guy, it's an okay toy, The only real thing, the main thing this toy has going for it is the fact it's made out of rubber. And the other thing it has going for it is the fact it's a Stegosaurus, so obviously I'm going to love it. Usually I love the Stegosaurus, usually. In terms of overall sculpt, it's an alright sculpt. It's nothing groundbreaking. It works for what it is, and plus the Stegosaurus had not been introduced into Jurassic Park when the first movie came out, so in a way this was kind of Kenner's idea of what it looked like, I guess, even if they kind of very clearly did kind of lazy their way out. It's not a great toy, but you can tell that there was some effort put into it, but then it was like rushed last second. And you can tell that especially with the face there, it's not what a Stegosaurus face looks like. Probably even for the time, even the card looked better. But the overall color scheme is pretty good. I like it because, it's green, and that's usually how Stegosaurus is depicted, as being green, and green will forever be a color that sticks with Stegosaurus, in my opinion. And overall, this toy is pretty cool, honestly, If you couldn't get Triceratops, I guess you could get this guy as a close second. And overall, he's pretty cool, There's a little look at the other side of him, And of course, he doesn't really have any action features other than his, I guess you could do this with his tail. But overall, is this better than the Lost World variant? Well, no, it's not really. No, the Lost World one is a bit better. The only thing that this thing has over the Lost World variant is the fact that it's made out of rubber, and that its dino damage piece stays on a lot better. And another thing is that this guy stands on all fours a lot better on carpet. I mean, come on. Is this a toy I would play with as a kid? I don't know. It'd probably be 50-50 for me. As a kid, I never really cared much for this thing. And I didn't really care much for it. And I still kind of don't. But it's still a good toy. I'm still happy to have it in my collection. And of course, you got the JP mark with the 07 on it. It's got the number this time, unlike the last toy, because Hasbro cheesed their way out. And of course, this guy has his dino damage piece, which I'm happy, because now I don't have to I don't have to wait for Siratech or something to make their own. But yeah, you have the dino damage piece. It's what it looks like. It's kind of just flat on the back. It's also got a number on it as B1. I don't know what that means. It just says B1, but Weird thing about the dino damage pieces for like the herbivores for the first line is for some reason they had like this little flab right here that you can, like little flab that kind of sticks out. Wonder why that was. Like, it's prominent on the Triceratops and it's prominent on Stegosaurus. Although this guy's dino damage piece is a bit of a pain to get in there, but it fits because, you know, the toy's made out of rubber, so it shouldn't be too hard of a fit. Plus, the dino damage piece itself is also made of rubber. Just wanted to let you guys know, just in case you don't own a dino damage piece, they are made out of rubber. And no, you cannot mix and match them. I've tried. You can't put this dino damage piece on the Triceratops. Trust me, I've tried doing it because I thought it would be funny if it fit, but it doesn't. So that's a bit depressing. But either way, I'm pretty happy to have this guy. I like him. Even if his toenails are unpainted, which is just something I barely noticed. But of course, mine does have the dino damage piece. Most of the ones you'll see don't have the dino damage piece, so it's kind of a rare review in a way to see the dino damage piece on the dinosaur. Well, unless you want to count like Jurassic reviews, which honestly shouldn't be surprised that he has one with a dino damage piece because he's got a ton of them, you know. But yeah, he's pretty cool overall. It's a simple dinosaur toy and it gets the job done, and it gets it done really well. He's also got like 2 spikes on the tip of his tail. At first, I thought it was 3 because he has like a really small one right here, but that's actually just a plate. And you can tell it's a plate because it has the little plate details, the like little scoots up there. See that on the regular plates? This one also has it. You can barely see it. These spikes don't have any detail on them. They're just smooth rubber. But if you look at the body itself, look at all that detail, all the little scales and bumps. They even got the little wrinkles right here for the leg part. I don't know how to call that. And the head, this is probably the part they kind of skipped on because the head doesn't have a lot going on. It's probably the least detailed part of the body. It's an alright head. It's not great. It's not like crazy detailed like a lot of the other dinosaur heads and faces. Like they have all the scales and bumps. This one does not have that. I don't know why Kenner decided to skip out on the Stegosaurus. I guess they just kind of rushed it. Like they were working on the body and then they just kind of skipped out on the head. So I don't know what happened there. But here he is in comparison to my whatchamacallit T-Rex. Can't remember the company that made it. I always can remember the name, then I forget the name, you know. But as you can see, you know, it's honestly kind of interesting seeing these two next to each other because they kind of look like they go with each other because you got a vintage T-Rex and kind of a vintage Stegosaurus. Not really a vintage Stegosaurus because, you know, a vintage Stegosaurus would have its tail like drooping to the ground along with its head. Its head would like be like down here or something. It wouldn't be holding up, but you know. Oh. But for example, if you didn't have the Triceratops or couldn't find it in the store and you had the young T-Rex, then Stegosaurus was your best bet because, you know, you have the Stegosaurus fight the T-Rex, I guess, like whack him with the tail. I don't know how the Stegosaurus would remove the dino damage piece. I guess kind of whack it out. I don't know. But T-Rex, it was just another carnivore for T-Rex to rip the dino damage piece out of, which I can actually show an example of. Because in the commercial, it kind of is like, dino damage. But it doesn't actually work that way. You actually have to kind of put some effort into having the T-Rex actually rip it out. And you'd think, oh, the T-Rex just bites onto this and rips it out. No, it doesn't do that. It's more like that, you know, kind of from the top, you know. But yeah, that's basically how it would work back then. The commercials aren't going to be accurate because they're commercials. But there's your comparison with it next to the T-Rex, the young T-Rex. And these two actually surprisingly scale really well next to each other. Unlike like the Triceratops and the T-Rex, young T-Rex don't scale really well next to each other. These two actually do. Like it looks like, because you know the Stegosaurus kind of makes the young T-Rex look like a full-grown one almost in comparison. Biting his face off a little there, but let's get a better front view comparison. There's your idea. They're about the same length. Like, they're about the same in terms of length. Pretty darn close, though. They're about the same, though. You get the idea. And, if you didn't have the young T-Rex, you'd obviously use the Utah Raptor, most likely, if you could even find it. If not the Demon Carnotaurus, which, man, wouldn't that be, like, kind of cool if you, if there was, like, a different herbivore for every carnivore. Like, for the T-Rex, it was the Triceratops, and for, like, the Stegosaurus, it was, like, a Utah Raptor or something. And for the Carnotaurus, there was nothing for Carnotaurus. There was only, because, you know, there was only about 2 giant herbivores and, like, what, 3 giant carnivores? But, yeah, there's your, kind of size comparison. They're about the same length. The Utah Raptor's definitely longer, though. Definitely longer. Just by a smidge. He's definitely longer, though. He's a pretty good amount longer. In general, he is bigger than the Stego. And then, of course, you have a comparison with it next to Kenner's biggest herbivore, that being the Triceratops, which is, of course, the toy that everyone would want to get, the Triceratops, because it's the bigger, cooler herbivore that actually does something, as opposed to the Stegosaurus, which doesn't really do anything. And between the two, I would definitely say that the Triceratops is definitely the better one. Despite me having a bias for Stegosaurus, I would say Triceratops is the better toy between the two. Ew, but they do go pretty well next to each other, as you can see. Stego looks bigger because of his plates, but he really isn't. Triceratops is a bitty bit bigger. And then a comparison with the Mattel Stegosaurus, the Dino Rivals one, I believe. I don't have the original. Like, I at one point I was going to try and get the original because it was in store, but I never got it. But I saw the original Mattel one in store so many times, and it was like, I would always see it, and it was always like right next to the Thrash and Throw T-Rex. Obviously, it was the Thrash and Throw T-Rex I would end up getting, because that's the one that all the kids wanted. But, you know, you get the idea between the two. The Kenner one is definitely taller in terms of height, but in general, they're like the same size, with the Mattel one being a bit longer again. So, yeah. And then, but luckily, Kenner would improve on this Stegosaurus. Sort of. This one doesn't stand up again. The Lost World one has problems standing up. Well, mine does, at least. Where, you know, it would actually have, like, a button to do its action feature. But mine, unfortunately, the lever that does its action feature does not work as well as it used to, unfortunately. It's very, very sad. I might get a new one just so I can get a better action feature out of it. I don't know. And as for those who are probably wondering, where's the review for the Lost World Stego? I don't know. Eventually, guys. Don't worry, eventually. I'll get into talking about them. Not a very good size comparison here, gosh. Gosh, it's hard to compare these two, actually. Darn it. This was supposed to be a review, not Jade fiddling around with these toys. As much as I would love to fiddle around with them because they're fun to play with. But, from the front angle, actually this would be a much better front angle to do it from. But from the front angle, as you can see, the Lost World one is actually actually bigger. Lost World one is actually a little bit bigger. Huh, I thought the Jurassic Park one, yeah, actually, let's get a better height view of that. Yeah, the Lost World one is bigger. Huh. I thought they were the same size. And keep in mind, I've had this guy for almost a week, and they've been keep in mind, I've had him for almost a week. I know I already said that, and these two have been, darn it, these two. Also, another thing I want to mention is these two have been displayed next to each other, and I always thought this guy was bigger, but apparently it's this guy. Ah, man, I love the Lost World one so much. Again, I do wish the Lost World one was made completely out of rubber. That would be way more fun. And I do kind of wish they used a better rubber for, its tail. Because, as the rubber on the Lost World one's tail is a bit flimsy. So if you have it, I would recommend being very careful with it. Another comparison is this guy. The currently biggest non-sauropod herbivore that the Jurassic Park toy line has ever seen. And he is definitely bigger than the Kenner Stegosaurus. He is not only longer, but just bulkier in general. Because, it's... For some reason, Triceratops gets the upscale treatment, but not Stegosaurus. Gosh darn it, give us a bigger Stego. Oh my gosh. If they do, it better be like a reimagined version of the Lost World Stego, because that would be really cool to actually get. If they do give us a bigger Stego, I'm probably going to paint it like the Lost World one, because I love that toy so gosh darn much. Another comparison, the Mattel Demon Carnotaurus, or reimagined Carnotaurus, if you want to be more technical. A lot of people thought the reimagined line was going to be kind of cheesy because they were going to be like, oh, they're just getting the Demon Carnotaurus out, so people will actually buy this stuff and be invested in it. But actually, I'm pretty excited for the next reimagined release, the Indominus Rex. I'm really excited for that one, because that thing is honestly a dream come true. Because it's let's be honest, guys, it's a real feel Indominus Rex that roars. Ours has a really nice posable tail, and it eats figures whole. How much could you ask for, honestly? What more could you ask for? I didn't bring down the Series 2 original Kenner toy, Young T-Rex, but I did bring down the Mattel version, 93 Classic, Off-Road Tracker Pack T-Rex. And he is quite a bit longer, but as you can see, he scales pretty well with the... He's a lot bigger. They scale pretty well next to each other, though. Wonder if Mattel will ever remake this guy, actually. If it'll ever reimagine him. They'll probably reimagine the Lost World one because, that's the more popular one. And then you have the 93 Classic Electronic T-Rex. Which, again, is bigger because, it's the T-Rex. Get him off to the side. And of course, this wouldn't be a proper comparison if we didn't bring out the Red Rex. One that's missing an arm. Because I don't know if I'll ever get a new arm for this guy. Unless I 3D print him a new arm from the current other Red Rex that I have. Because that one has both of its arms. but it's in much worse condition. But yeah, there's your kind of, darn it. There it is. There's a kind of a comparison, but as you can see, the Red Rex at the end of the day is bigger and does not scale with this toy whatsoever. As you can see, doesn't scale with the toy. He's too big. He's a bitty bit too big. And then, of course, the final comparison, the Bull T-Rex. The big guy himself. As you can see, Bull is, again, he's bigger. He's still the biggest. He's still the biggest rubber dinosaur out there. And I think he'll remain the biggest for a while. He's also the biggest carnivore toy. Not counting the Super Colossals. They're their own thing. They're in a completely different scale range. But overall, this toy, it works. Honestly. You know, the Brachiosaurus, the Hasbro Brachiosaurus I talked about last time. That toy, again, I said it works. This one's about the same. It works. It's not great, but it works. You know, again, Stegosaurus did not show up in Jurassic Park in the first one. So I can forgive Kenner for this. Because, you know, they didn't know shoot, honestly. They didn't know what it was going to look like. But Hasbro, you can't really forgive them because they knew what they had the CGI models, guaranteed. They had to have had the CGI models for that toy line. They just decided to do their own thing. I don't know. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this review. And please hit the like button because that lets me know you guys like the videos and you want more of them. And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another video because you don't want to miss my videos. Because they're good, I promise. Okay, maybe I don't fully promise, but I mostly promise, you know. But as for the next review will be let's just say we're going to be talking about a childhood favorite. You know, the one I just showed on screen. It's the young T-Rex. Next review will be the young T-Rex, and not the Series 2 one, because I already went off of that one first, and obviously I do like the Series 2 one. But the review on the young T-Rex will probably be a bit longer than this one, because I have a lot more history with the young T-Rex than I do with this guy, because, you know, I did not have this guy as a kid, and I was not interested in him as a kid. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to let you guys listen to my rambling anymore. Or hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you all in the next one.